Today, I'm going to discuss the week 5 lecture or the midterm or you're in your LMS, the week 5, which is the contract, which is the general provisions of the contract. So I'm going to discuss here the definition of the contract and how the contract must be implemented and stipulated. Okay, so remember, contract is also part of the obligation. If you remember the obligation, an obligation is something to do or not to do or to give something. It is a meeting of minds between the two contracting parties. Okay, and contract, there is also an obligation where the two contracting parties are entered into an agreement and condition to render some service to another. Okay. So what is a contract? In Article 13, wait lang ha, ayan, sige, ang daming nag-iip. So in Article 1305, in Article 1305, contract defines that it is a meeting of minds between two or more persons, whereby the one binds himself with respect to the other, take note, to give something or to render some services. What is the difference to the obligation? Diba? In the obligation, it tells to give, to do, or not to do. While the contract, it is a meeting of minds, means both of the parties, the two or more person have same thinking or same perception that they have to do something or to render some services. Kailangan may mga nag-in pa ulit. Okay, to render some services to another. So it talks about a contracting parties. When say contracting parties, it talks about a person. It can be an obligor and obligee, a debtor and a creditor. Okay, that's a contract. So a person or a two-person who, if there are two or more person have agreed to do something or to render some services, they entered into a contract. Ibig lang sabihin nun, o diba, the other party must give the services to another and the other party shall receive the services or the object that must be given. In the contract, there is also a reciprocal obligation. When I say reciprocal, both of the parties, both of the contracting parties can be an obligor and an obligee. Kaya nga, ang dami pang nag-join. Okay, so that's how we define the contract. So what is the example of the contract? Contract has a lot of examples. It can be a contract of lease. Ibig sabihin yan, in the rental, di ba? When example nun, contract of lease o nangungupahan, di ba? Who is the contracting party there? The landlord, which is the obligee, and even the obligor, and the other party, the contracting party is, excuse me, is the lessee, di ba? O yung mangungupahan. So, ano yung contract of lease dito? Paano magkakaroon ng contract? Siyempre, yung mangungupahan, di ba? They make a negotiation with the landlord. Take note, ay, nangyari. Bakit nagkaroon? O ng landlord, take note, they make into a contract mangungupahan. So, siyempre, ngayon, kung may mangungupahan, the obligor is offering something, teka lang nga, daming nagjo-join. Okay. A join is something, di halimbawa, available yung unit ni landlord, o di ba, napapaupa, ipapakita niya doon sa uupa ng, what you call this, uupa sa kanya. If the lessee accepts, di ba, accepts the what you call this, accepts the offer of the landlord and he wants that kind of unit, o di ba, contract is talk, it talks about the definition, they must meet the minds. Ano yung meeting of minds dito? Eh di meron silang negotiation or meron silang obligation with the both of them. Ano yung obligation doon? obligation ng bawat isa, obligation di ba ni landlord na ipaupa yung ang kanyang unit, and then yung ano yung obligation dito ni nung nangupahan ni lessee. Obligation niya na gamitin yon at bayaran yung services ni landlord. So that is a contract. So the contract can be a verbal or a written. Kasi dito naman sinabi kasi wala naman sinabing written or written lang eh. The contract can be a verbal or written. Say verbal, there is a oral or agreement between the two parties. Kaya lang, o di ba? Kaya lang, di ba? Make sure if there is a verbal agreement or a verbal contract of two parties, there should be a witness. Kasi kung dalawa lang kayong nag-uusap, o di ba? If the two person are make a verbal agreement, kasi pwedeng it can be denied, di ba? Especially for some reason, if there's some problems. Kaya dapat may witness. But the most powerful tool of a contract, it should be a written. Kasi pag written naman, there should be, what we call this, yun ang pinaka-powerful tool, di ba, ng ating, what we call this, ng ating contract. Because if there is a written, this is the evidence that the two contracting parties have agreed upon on the obligation. So that's we define the contract. So next, Article 1306. So the Article 1306, it tells that the contract, how can be the contract are perfected, or it can be said that there is a contract of the two contracting parties. Article 1306, it tells that the contract is the two contracting parties must establish such stipulations. And what do you mean by stipulations? The stipulation, it talks about agreement, clauses, what are the things that additional, clauses. If we say clauses, it talks about attachment to the stipulations. Terms, it talks about the time or the period on when the contract should be take effect. And the conditions, okay, I'm going to repeat again. For those who attend, please kindly mute your microphones to avoid the inconvenience. So, what we call this? Conditions, it talks about the rules or the things that you might be agreed upon. O, condition, ano ba yung mga the things na do's and don'ts? Ano ba yung mga bagay na dapat nating condition? Sabihin, ano ba yung mga bagay na gusto nating dapat pag-agreean o pagkasunduan that can be to render services or to give something. Yung sinasabi rito na conditions. Teka lang nga. Yan, okay. Teka lang class for a while Ang gagawin kong Dean Daggio is here. Teka lang Dean Daggio, good morning. Dean?
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Dean, good morning. Ginawa kitang co-host kasi pag may nag-enter, pwedeng ipaki-admit na lang. Dean?
Sure. Sige,
okay.
sige.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, going back to the next. Okay, going back. Conditions, okay. Make sure, in order the contract must be perfected, there should be a stipulation, as I've said, the terms and condition, and make sure the contracting parties, if they establish those things, make sure that those things must be convenient. When I say convenient, they are comfortable to what? To implement such agreement or a contract. That make sure that such agreements, they should not contrary to the law, the morals, good customs, public order, or a public policy. Ibig sabihin, not contrary, hindi dapat ito lalabag sa batas. Kasi there are some agreements or contract that can be contrary to law or it can violating the law. Part of it, the morals, or talks about the morals, it talks about the character, or it can be damage the dignity of the contracting parties, and it should not be contrary to the customs o yung mga good customs o yung mga nakagawian, even the public policy or such rules. So that is Article 1306. So take note ha, hindi matatawag na isang kontrata ang napagkaso ng dalawang party kung walang terms. It talks about time on when the contract should take effect, terms, conditions, ano ba yung mga gusto at ayaw ng dalawang partido, stipulations, ano ba yung napagkasunduan. And of course, part of the stipulation is the object of the obligation. So that is the Article 1306. Okay? Okay, next. Article 1307. So, Article 1307, it tells only about the innominate contracts. Ano ba yung tinatawag na innominate contracts? Innominate contract, this is a contract whose names of the contracting parties are not appeared. Diba? Yung tinatawag na innominate. Well, the nominate contracts, diba? Pag sabing nominate, the contracts, or that is a contract whose names are appeared on the agreement. So, do you think that innominate contracts kasi, it talks about the agreement whose those names of the contracting parties are not appeared on the agreement. Pero sinasabi dito that innominate contracts shall be void or valid and it shall be regulated by the stipulations of the parties, or take note, by the provisions of Title 1 and 2 of this book. Because for make sure that the innominate contracts is analogous o magkahawig o magkapareho to the nominate contracts by the customs of the place. Ibig lang sabihin nun, the innominate contracts shall be regulated, such also stipulation, even the names of the contracting parties are not appeared. Just make sure that the nominate, yung mga nandoon sa stipulation ay katulad or analogous ng tinatawag na nominate contracts.
Talagang madalaan.
Okay, next. Okay, Article 1308. Okay. Article 1308, the contracts must be bind both contracting parties, its validity or compliance, and cannot be left to the will of one of them. Ito, ang sabi lang dito, diba? The contract must be bind both contracting parties. Ibig sabihin, both of the contracting parties must implement, or both of the contracting parties has the obligation to give and render some service to one another. Kasi sinasabi dito, in terms of validity or the compliance of the contract, it cannot be left. So hindi pwedeng isa lang ang magbibigay ng obligation. Hindi pwede yun. Dapat both of the parties. Remember, di ba, we talk about reciprocal obligation. There is a reciprocal obligation that once the obligor give the obligation to the obligee, then the obligee is also give the obligation to the obligor. Hindi, parang ano lang yan, tinatawag na give and take. Hindi pwede yung isa lang magbibigay, isa lang tatanggap. Both of the parties have their obligations to give something to each other. Ang tanong dito, what if the contracting party does not do her part or his or her part in giving the obligation based on the agreement? So it might be violate the the contract. Magkakaroon tayong tinatawag na breach of contract in that sense, di ba? Hindi kasi pwedeng isa lang. Okay. For the example of this, di ba? Sa mga artista, so maganda example to sa mga artista. Okay, sino ba contracting parties dito sa mga artista, di ba? Artista syempre, at saka yung sino? Yung sabihin na natin sa pelikula o producer, di ba? Those are the both contracting parties. Ano rito yung tinatawag na, ano yung terms and condition dito? Sabihin natin si artista, gagawa siya ng pelikula with the producer. Kinukuha siya na, kinukuha siya na maging part ng pelikula. Siyempre, ano yung mga terms dito? Maaari yung terms, yung conditions muna. Yung condition, siguro, condition ni producer, ito lang yung talent pinabibigay. Ito ang role na gagawin, kaya bang gawin? Si artista naman, mayroon din siyang conditions. Bago ko gawin yan, dapat security, hindi pwedeng mabastos yung aking image or something. Meron ganon. Ano yung terms? The period when the project or the contract, the project must be done. Sorry, ayun. Sabihin natin, 6 na buwan, gagawin yung pelikula, isushoot ang pelikula, that's a term. Para mabuo isang pelikula, o diba? Stipulation, ay napagkasunduan. Kung ano yung kondisyon na pag-usapan, stipulation, kung ano yung bagay na kondisyon na napagkasunduan, they will enter into the contract. So both of the parties, the artista and the producer, has bind both themselves. Diba? Yun. Both themselves. So, ito ang tanong dito. Ano yung binding dito, both of the parties? The producer will pay the artist or the artist or the actor, the actress in performing or shooting the movie, and also the obligation of the artist is to make the project, to finish the project. So, yung contract, yung tinatawag na binding dito, they have responsibility to each other. Hindi pwedeng si producer lang ang magbabayad sa kanya pero the actress or the actor does not do her part in the contract of performing or make a shoot or performing the movie. Or kaya naman, di ba, they're performing the movie, ito namang si producer, hindi naman binayaran si actor o si artista. So that's Article 1308. That the contract must be bind of both contracting parties. When it comes to compliance, both the parties has been do their obligation. No one, or what we call this, it cannot be left to the will of one of them. Hindi pwedeng isa lang ang pwedeng gagalaw dyan. It should be both of them. Okay, next. Okay, Article 1309. Okay, Article 1309, it talks about the third person. Who is the third person? The third person is the one who represents the principal. The principal are the contracting parties. Well, when it comes to the performance of both of the contracting parties, it can be represented by the third person. The third person can represent the contracting parties in case of the non-presence or in the absence of the contracting parties. But when it comes to decision making, the third person is not allowed to make any decision of the contracting parties unless if those decisions must be known, it should be informed to or there is an approval of the contracting parties in order to implement or to take decision on it. So yung tinatawag lang dito na Article 1309. Okay, next. Article 1310. Okay. Article 1310, it tells here that the termination shall not be obligatory if the contract is inequitable. What do you mean by inequitable? Inequitable means unequal o hindi patas, fair or unfair. Okay, okay, the music yun. Okay, I will going to repeat again, kindly mute your microphones, whoever it is. Okay, so take note, if the contract is inequitable or unfair for the contracting parties, when does the contract can be inequitable? If such agreements are not fair hindi patas yung stipulations na kanilang napagkasunduan, di ba? O it should not be obligatory. Halimbawa, may dinedemand yung isang contracting party na hindi naman pala na ayaw nung isa, diba? Or ayaw ng isang contracting party. Hindi pwede yun. So, just in case that if the contract has been made and the contracting party that they feel that their stipulations are not fair, there should be a third party that will should be what we call this. There's a third party should be decide for such kind of problem or problems with their contract, which is the court, di ba? Yun yung tinatawag na third party or the court. Sabi ng court, the court, third party. Government yan, di ba? O korte, somebody shall, what we call this, file a case. The court shall decide for what is due or for the equitable or fair for the both of the parties under the circumstances. Ito magandang example dito. Ito magandang example, no? Medyo ano lang ha, medyo sensitive lang yung example. Halimbawa sa mga ano to, ulit, artista ulit. O, di ba, artista. Ito, artista lang, ito ha. Halimbawa, isang pelikula, merong isang, meron silang napag-usapan, o di ba, merong kontrata, pelikula ulit. Wala naman doon sa napag-usapan, o di ba, halimbawa si artista, kailangan magpakita ng ganitong parte ng katawan. Example lang yon, di ba? Nasa ng inequitable wala naman sa usapan na magpakita ng ganyang katawan o magpakita ng ganito kasi meron namang kontrata doon, nandoon yung stipulation, ang linaw. Pero sabi ng director o ng producer ipakita, ayaw. Inequitable 'yon, di ba? Inequitable 'yon, hindi patas 'yon. So parang nangyari na violate hindi man na violate, rather ibig sabihin hindi fair yung napagkasunduan sa contract, di ba? Just in case nagdemanda si artista kay producer kasi ang nangyari pakiramdam niya na basto siya. Kasi parang nangyari pinipilit siyang ipakita kasi parang sinabi nung producer pag hindi pinakita hindi babayaran. Diyan nangyari nagsampa ng kaso kasi nagsampa ng kaso maaring exploitation o anumang kaso 'yon. So kung napatunayan talaga na nagkamali ang artista the producer, doon sa napagkasunduan, di ba, the court will decide for that case kung ano ba talaga yung kung ano ba yung equitable on the both of the parties. Maaari sinabi ng korte na desisyon, lumabag ka sa batas, di ba, exploitation, dapat ang artista ay hindi dapat pagpakitaan ng ganyong parte o magpakita ng ganyong parte sa pelikula. Parang gano'n. So, ibig sabihin, tandaan nyo if the contract is evidently inequitable, it should not be obligatory to stipulate. It's not really stipulate. It is not obligatory to implement or to take effect the contract. Kaya diba, make sure, diba, kaya nga sa contract, take note, before you enter into such contract or an agreement or any stipulation, make sure na we should be negotiate to the both of contracting parties and read some, kung written man yan, basahin muna yung mga clauses or yung mga naka-attach na batas dito o naman yung bagay na support to the conditions bago tayo before we sign or before we enter into the contract. Okay, next, Article 1311. Okay, Article 1311, it tells here, contracts take effect, take note, contracts take effect only between parties, their assigns and heirs. Take note of this, The contract will take effect only between the parties, even their assigns and heirs. So, even assign, ibig sabihin kung sino man inassign nila na maging kasama ng kontrata, and even yung tinatawag na tagapagmana or heirs, di ba? Except in the case, there should be an exception. The exemption of the contract, if there is an rights and obligation arising that the contracts are not transmissible o hindi pwedeng i-transfer, hindi pwedeng ilipat o by nature or any stipulation by law, hindi siya pwede, hindi ang exemption niya, it should not be, the contract should not take effect, di ba? And even the heir is not liable beyond the value of the property received from the decedent. So ito, ito magandang example dito The good example in Article 1311 about this one, take note talk about estates. Mana. Magandang example dito, estate o mana, di ba? Paano mag-stipulate yung batas na to? The contract take effect only between parties as in there, except in the law or the rights and obligations. Dito, what you call this? If there are contracts are not transmissible, example niyan, last will and testament. Ito, last will and testament, example. Kasi nasa batas yan, if there's a last will and testament, kung kanino itinransfer ang tawag dito, ang property, kung sino yung nakasulat doon na siya dapat ibigay. Meron bang dapat dito paano kung merong kumontra? Kung may kumontra, pwede naman din siya maghabol, pero kung mapapatunayan naman talaga na kasi nasa batas yun kung sino talaga yung nakasulat doon sa pangalan, kung sino yung napagmanan, yun talaga, sa kanya talaga ibibigay yun. Pero kung what if wala namang testamento, wala namang last will and testament, by law, automatic yon na yung mga property na yon ay mapupunta sa mga anak. Tao. Example, yun yung tinatawag na by law, let's say walang last will and testament, di ibig sabihin nun, yung mga anak, magmamana ng mga property na yon, pantay-pantay sila. Kasi sa last will and testament, if they, what they call this, if there is kung nakalagay doon na si A, ito ang namana niya, isang mansion, itong si B, yung isang bahay na maliit lang o isang maliit na resort lang, it can be what you call this, yung tinatawag na hindi yung kung yung nabinigay sa kanilang mana, yun talaga yung bagay sa kanila. Kumbaga, kung may maghahabol na kapatid, yun ang nakalagay doon sa stipulation ng testamento, hindi talaga pwede yun. Kung maghahabol man siya, dahil may testamento, wala naman din magagawa, matibay na ebidensya at nasa batas naman din kasi kung ano yung naging testamento, yun talaga yung it will stipulate. Diba? Yung isabihin, in the provision of the law, the contract are not transmissible by nature o lalo pag may testament. Yung maganda example sa estate o sa mana. Pero kung walang testamento, meron din provision ang batas dito, di ba? Na kung walang testamento, di mga anak na napag-iwanan, ibibigay sa kanila yon, hati-hati sila. O di kung meron magiging problema, pag-usapan na lang yon ng mga magkakapatid o ng mga magmamana nung, take note magmamana nung mga sa mga ari-arian na yon. But take note of this, sinabi rito, kung sino may tagapagmana, there should not be liable beyond the value of the property he received from the receiver. What you mean is not liable beyond the value of the property? Ibig sabihin nun, di ba? Actually, bago naman talaga maibigay yung, teka lang bago naman maibigay yung mana just take note of this bago maibigay ang mana, doon sa isang tagapagmana, ang mga napag-iwanan, kailangan magbayad mo na ng estate tax, di ba? Ano ba yung tawag ng estate tax? Ayun nga, takbuwis para doon sa mga napag-iwanan kasi transfer tax yan. Syempre, pag hindi nabayaran, kumbaga, yung magmamana, magbabayad pa siya ng estate tax. Di ba? Pero sa not value to the value of the property he received, wala naman talaga siyang any form of liability kung sakaling may maghabol sa kanya. Kasi, di ba, there are times na, di ba, yun nga, tumanggap siya ng mga property, ng mana, tapos may mga nagagalit sa kanya. Sinisisi siya, bakit siya may nakuwang ganito. Syempre, hindi naman, kung ano man yung binigay sa kanya, ng decedent, hindi siya liable sa sino mang taong naghahabol sa kanya. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng Article 1311. Diba? It will take effect the contract between the parties in the heirs. Diba? Kaya lang, kung meron ng mga in exemption, kung merong mga obligations that, di ba, na hindi transmissible by law, di ba? Ibig sabihin nun, magsabihin natin hindi pwedeng ilipat, di ba? It will stipulate. Hindi mapupunta doon sa tagapagmana yung ari-arian na yon, lalo na kung hindi sa kanya talaga binigay yung ari-arian. Pwede bang mangyari yon? Na kung saan pwedeng nag-expect ka ng mana pero hindi ka napamanahan ng magulang mo kasi pwedeng mangyari yun. In case yung sinasabing not transmissible by law, kung wala namang sinabi doon. Pero bilang anak, kung wala namang testamento, di ba wala namang sinabing wag kang bigyan, pero kung talaga namang walang iwan testamento, patas yan, batas, mga anak talaga ang magmamana nun. Basta legitimate. As far as I know, pati yung illegitimate, pwede na rin tumanggap ng mana. Kasi ibig sabihin nun, di ba, yung mismong namatay, pwede siya mag-assign ng kanyang tagapagmana kung sino man ang kanyang pagbibigyan ng property na yun. Okay, in the continuation, if a contract contains some stipulation in favor of a third person, di ba sabi nga, if a contract contains some stipulation in favor of a third person, sino ba yung third person na naman dito? Ang third person dito, maaring hindi mag-anak o maaring kukuha din nung tinatawag na property niya. Kasi there are times yung mga namatay, di ba? Yung mga namatay, pwede nilang i-transfer yung kanilang mga property sa mga hindi ka mag-anak. It may be in a foundation or in a non-government organization, in a third person. He may demand the fulfillment. He communicated his acceptance to the applicant before its revocation. Pag sabing revocation, kasi pwede mapawalang visa yan eh. There's a mere incidental benefit or interest of a third person is not sufficient. So the contracting parties must have clearly and deliberately conferred a favor upon a third person. Ito paano to? Ito paano to? Well, ako I have a friend or a classmate. She is a lawyer. Ito naalala ko yung kinuwento niya sa akin eh. Meron kasi tayong dalawang deeds, di ba? Analytical deeds. Pag sabing deeds, ito yung pagka-transfer ng mga title. Deed of donation, tsaka deed of sale. Ito yan. What's the difference of the two? Ito talks about the third person. Ang deed of donation kasi, ito yung isang deed o kasulatan na kung saan i-donate mo yung ari-arian sa donor, kung sino man donor yon. Diba? Nakalagay doon. Kasama na yung pagbabayad ng mga donor's tax and everything. Ang deed of sale, itinransfer mo yung property doon sa tao na bumili. Diba? Parang ganun yun. Ano yung difference ng dalawa? Yun nga, ang sabi nga, yung isa donation binigay, ang deed of sale binili. Alam niyo ba sa deed of sale, pwede namang gumawa ng isang transfer ng deed of sale na palalabasin mo lang na binili ng third person yon kahit wala namang bayarang naganap. Pwedeng mangyari yon. Ibig sabihin dito. Kasi pag deed of donation kasi ang ginawa when it comes to the stipulation in favor of third person, halimbawa, yung isang tao na matay, binigay niya yung kanyang 1 million na pesos na donation doon sa isang institution. Kung may maghahabol doon sa pera na i-donate na dinonate doon sa isang foundation o sa isang NGO, pwedeng ma-revoke yung deed of donation. Pag sabing ma-revoke, mapawalang visa. Bakit? May naghabol eh. Maaring yung naghabol na yon, maaring siya yung kamag-anak o sino man na pwedeng kumuha ng pera. So, ang mangyari doon, ma-revoke yung deed of donation. Well, the deed of sale kasi, ang deed of sale, hindi siya revocable. Kasi bakit? Kindly mute, please. Kasi bakit? Bakit hindi revocable ang deed of sale? Kasi nagbentahan eh. Kumbaga, pwedeng gamitin yung deed of sale na palalabasin mo lang na binili o puta mo sa isang tao, sa third person, yung isang ari-arian, kahit walang bayarang naganap. Palalabasin mo lang na nagkabentahan ka. Kapag deed of sale kasi, kapag nagkaroon transfer ng contract na ganoon, kahit sino ang maghabol, hindi pwedeng ma-revoke yung kontrata na yun o yung deed of sale na yun. That's the difference between the two. O kaya nga sabi nga sa akin nung kaibigan kong lawyer, sabi sa akin, pag kung maglilipat ka ng ari-arian para walang maghabol, di ba, sabi nga, mag-deed of sale ka na lang. Kahit hindi kayo nagbentahan, kahit hindi kayo nagbayaran, palabasin mo lang nagbentahan yan, o di ba, walang makapaghabol. Yun ang sinasabi niya roon. As an example of Article 13. Okay, so that is the Article 13.11. It talks about the contracts that the parties can assign the heirs when it comes to the transfer of the property. Okay, next, Article 13.12. So, Article 13.12, what it says here, in contracts, creating real rights, third person who come into possession of the object of the contract are bound thereby, subject to the provisions of the mortgage law and land registration law. Ito naman, it is another form of contract naman to, yung tinatawag na mortgage and land registration. Mas maganda, magsabing real rights, it talks about property. Okay? Immovable or movable property. Okay, ito yung pinag-usapin sa contracts. Ito magandang example dito ha. Example niyan, bangko. O, di ba? Bangko. O, mortgage muna pala. Ano ba yung tinatawag na mortgage law? I'm sorry The mortgage law, ito yung batas na kung saan na kapag nagbentahan ng ari-arian or nagbentahan, o di ba, ng isang ari-arian at hindi ito kayang bayaran na in cash in full, pwede naman itong bayaran ng staggered payment or installment na make sure kapag ito'y binili mo, syempre, hindi pa mapupunta sa iyo yung property na yon. Nakapangalan pa rin yun doon sa nag-ibenta, which is example is bangko. Maliwanag yun ha? Yung tinatawag na mortgage law. Another form of mortgage law, kapag nangutang ka ng malaking pera, ito yan yung isa una muna, yung bumili ka. Siyempre, pag bumili ka ng isang property na may mahal na value, hindi wala ka na pambayad na cash, pwede mo siyang hulugan ng installment. But the moment na natapos mo na yung payment, take note ibibigay sa'yo yung binili mong ari-arian. Immovable yon property. Ang tanong dito, paano yung sasakyan? Sir, movable yon. Mortgage law ba din ba yon? Oo. Nasa iyo yung sasakyan. Binili mo yung sasakyan. Binabayaran mo. Pero yung ORC ng sasakyan mo, nandun yung sa bangko. Kahit ginagamit mo yon, kahit ginagamit mo yon, hindi mo pwedeng ibenta yon kasi yung ORCR ay nasa bangko pa. O, di ba? It talks about movable property. Mortgage na rin yun. Pag immovable property, ito yung mga lupa. O, lupa. Pero we are in the immovable property kasi nasabi nga bill rights Okay. Pag bumili ka ng lupa, binayaran mo, ibibigay ng bangko yung titulo nun sa'yo. Ita-transfer sa pangalan mo. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. O kaya naman, nangutang ka ng malaking pera, ipinang-collateral mo yung lupa o yung property na yon. At pag binayaran mo na yung utang mo, the bank, di ba, will be the one to give you the property which used as a collateral doon sa debtor na nangutang at nabayaran na. Ano yung tinatawag na land registration laws? The land registration laws, ito naman yung kung saan yung mga lupa, take note o yung mga real o mga property, mga lupa, hindi tayo pwedeng magbenta ng lupa nang hindi nakarehistro ito. Di ba? Saan? It should not be registered to the HLURB. Kasi pag nagbenta tayo ng lupa, maraming clearance yan. From the DENR, from the engineering, HLURB, ano pa ba? National Homes Authority. Di ba? Hindi ka pwedeng magbenta ng lupa nang hindi nakarehistro sa mga sangay ng gobyerno na yon. At the same time, wala din siyang transfer of title. Make sure if the contracting party sells a property, make sure that this land or a real rights, there should be registered to the government body who in charge of the land registration. Itandaan nyo, hindi tayo pwedeng magbenta ng isang lupa nang walang rehistro sa mga sangay ng gobyerno at the same time walang titulo. Kasi bago magkaroon ng titulo, ang isang lupa, ito yan example niya sa mga nagtitinda ng mga developers. Yung lupain na yan, kung mayroon man titulo yan, kailangan niyang ipa-inspect yan sa ang daming dadaanan yan. Sabi ko, DNR, ano pa ba? HLURB, ano pa ba? National Homes Authority. Kung yung mga government sector na yon ay inapprove at in-inspect na itong lupang ito ay pwedeng tayuan ng isang subdivision o pwedeng ibenta for some purposes, for as long as ito ay narehistro, yun yung batas na kung saan na dapat ang lupa ay nakarehistro and that is open for residential or commercial purposes, doon pa lang siya pwedeng ibenta. Take note in case of the contract or in creating contract for the real rights, di ba? Third person comes into a possession, di ba? Of the object. Sabi ng possession, sino ba yung third person dito? Maaring yung bumili kasi yung contracting party pwedeng tawag dito kasi yung mismong developer hindi naman siya nagbebenta, meron siyang tinatawag na broker or agent na nagbebenta yon. Make sure na yung mga lupang binentang yon lahat yon naka-register. Hindi ka tanda yan tayo pwede magbenta bago tayo before the developer or the landowner enter into a contract and creating real rights or selling the property, make sure that it should be abide to the land registration laws. And even, sabi nga, subject to the provisions of mortgage law. Kasi meron naman talaga nagbebenta ng lupa na hindi naman talaga kayang bayaran ng in cash. Syempre, 2 million pa naman yan. That is subject to mortgage na kung saan ipapautang mo, o di ba, yung binebentang ari-arian, ipapautang, at pag nabayaran na, anong gagawin ng developer o even ng bangko? Yung titulo ng lupa ililipat sa pangalan ng bumili kapag bayad na. Pero pag hindi pa bayad, ibig sabihin nun, fully paid na. Hanggat nagbabayad pa yung bumili o yung buyer, hindi pa matatransfer yung title nung lupang binibili ng buyer sa kanya dahil hanggat hindi pa niya to napupully paid. Kaya nga ito magandang example nito. Okay, it's a good example. Kasi ako nag-work din ako dati sa financial institution o loans. O di ba, nakikita ko yung proseso kasi I'm in the loan servicing. Nakikita ko yung proseso nito ng mortgage loan, no? Halimbawa, si bangko, o di ba, may bumiling lupa, o di ba, o sa isang developer. Ngayon, yung bangko ang naging third party. Kumbaga, bakit siya naging third party? Kasi isasangla, o di ba, nung bumili, o kaya yung developer mismo, ginawang third party yung bangko, o di ba, para kung saan, pag bumili, papautangin ng bangko yung, papautangin ng bangko yung, sino? Yung buyer. O, di ba? O. Ngayon, kapag napautang ng bangko yung buyer ng lupa doon sa developer, o di ba? Mapupunta ba yung perang inutang doon sa buyer? Hindi. Diretso ang gagawin ng bangko doon, ibibigay niya yung cheque doon sa developer. And then the developer will be the one to give the title to the bank. Hawak yun ng bangko, hindi hawak ng buyer. So, wala nang utang yung buyer doon sa developer. Sa bangko na siya may utang. What if nabayaran na ng buyer sa bangko yung titulo, yung lupang binili sa developer? Sino mag-aasikaso nun? Si bangko na. O, nasa ng mortgage lo doon. Kapag na-fully paid na, o di ba, na-fully paid ni buyer, yung lupang binili o yung property binili, ang mag-aasikaso nun si bangko. Siya mag-aasikaso nun na i-transfer ang title doon sa bumili. Kaya pag nag-fully paid yun, o di ba, bago makuha yung titulo, it takes 2 o 3 to 6 months bago makuha yung title ng lupa. Kasi pinaprocess yun ng bangko para mailipat sa pangalan nung bumili nung property. So that is the mortgage law. Ang land registration law naman, hindi tayo pwedeng magbenta ng isang lupa o ng any immovable property without the registration to the government sector, which I've said. Diba? Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. So that is Article 1312. Next, Article 1313. Ano sinasabi dito? Creditors are protected in cases of contracts intended to defraud them. Ayan, malinaw na malinaw ha. Creditors, yung mga nagpapautang, yung mga nagbibenta. Once there is a contract, the creditors are protected in some cases in case na meron tayong tinatawag na fraud o meron mga tinatawag na panggagancho. But there's instances kasi na may mga hindi na naiwasan, they made up crimes or there are times that the people are made fraud to the creditors. In what sense? Now, they are protected in case of course intent to defraud them. May mga insurance yan. In case of the losses, naka-insured naman din yung mga property. Mababayaran pa rin yung lupa. Pero syempre, hanggat maaari, di ba, huwag naman sanang magkaroon ng tinatawag na fraud, di ba? Kaya tatandaan natin, the creditors are always protected in case of fraud. Next, Article 1314, any third person who induces another to violate his contract shall be liable for the damages of the other contracting party. Sabi rito, any third person, di ba? Sabihin, it can be a representative of the principal to violate the contract. Sabi, induces another, kapag meron siyang napirwisyo, the third person shall be liable for the damages to the other contracting party. What's the example of this? Balikan natin yung lupa. Real estate, or realty rather. Sino yung third person dito? Agent. Ito, reality nangyari to ha, agent. Totoong nangyari to. Siyempre, ang kausap ng bumili ng lupa, agent, hindi developer. O, agent, hindi rin broker, agent, nag-ahente lang, o, di ba? O, ngayon, nung nagbabayad na, o, di ba, o, nung nagbabayad na ng bayarin sa property, ano yung binilate dito ng contract ng third person? O, ang nangyari, hindi niya ay nasikaso yung mga papeles, yung mga pag-transfer ng titulo. O, hindi niya na-process. O, kasi ahente siya eh. Hindi niya ni-report yung binayad nung buyer, hindi niya nire-report sa broker, sa developer, para nasa kanya yung pera. O, di ba? O, kumbaga hindi niya ina-update, di ba? O doon pa lang, that's a violation of the contract. O maaring hindi naman siguro sabihin nating nanakawin o lolokohin, hindi lang niya na-remit or for some reason, it's a breach of contract, di ba? It can violate the agreement between the third person and the buyer. And of course, in case of such rule or the violation, the third person is liable for such damages to the contracting party, which is the buyer. So, sino ang dapat mag-ayos yan? Kung magkaroon sila ng disagreement, si agent pa rin. Di ba? Paano pag, just in case na ang agent ayaw makapag-cooperate, that was the time that the buyer should coordinate it to the developer, which is yung talaga yung contracting party, di ba? Siyempre, mananagot din yung agent doon sa, not only to the buyer, but even to the developer itself. Yun yun. So, Article 13.15, okay, mauubos na pala tayo, no? Let's make it fast. Ito, sinabi lang dito, Article 13.15, contracts are perfected by mere consent. From the moment that the parties are bound not only the fulfillment what has been stipulated, but even all the consequences. Ano ibig sabihin nito ha? Ang sabi lang dito, the contracts are perfected by mere consent. Ibig sabihin ano ba ibig sabihin ng tinatawag na consent? O, di ba? May permiso. O, kaya nga sinabing consent, may permiso, may pahintulot, di ba? Siyempre, the contracts, the contracting party cannot enter into the contract if there is no such any consent. Ano yun? Magsay consent, pahintulot sa bawat isa that they enter the contract. If somebody wants to enter the contract, if the other party they don't want to enter the contract, there is no such any consent at all. Yung ibig sabihin nito. But if the contracting parties have both of themselves have a consent to each other, make sure that they enter into the contract, those stipulation must be take effect, not only the stipulation, but also the magsabing consequences, ano man ang kinatnan ng kanilang napagkasunduan, di ba? According to the nature, and also that's keeping in good faith, or may maayos sa usapan o ugnayan, even the law itself. Tandaan natin, if there's no such any consent of the party to enter into the contract, hindi siya matatawag na kontrata. Wala kayong pwedeng there's no such any obligation that must be entered into a contract if there's no such a consent o pahintulot na tinatawag. Okay, next, Article 13.16, ito na naman real contracts. Pag sabing real contracts, ito yun, it talks about the property, di ba? Kaya lang, part of the real contract is the deposit, talks about the cash, pledge, o binigay o donate, and the commoditatum are not perfected. Excuse me. Real contracts are not perfected until the obligation or this object of obligation must be delivered to the contracting party. Ibig sabihin, ang isang real contract, hindi siya magiging perfected, hindi siya pwedeng mangyari kung yung mga nasabing real contract na yan ay hindi pa na-deliver o naibibigay yung object na yan. Or you talk about object of the obligation. For as long as this deposit or the cash, the donation, even the commoditatum are not delivered and received by the contracting party or the recipient. Okay, next, Article 13.17, sabi nga, no one may contract in the name of another. Take note, ito naman, it talks about representation. Take note, no one may contract in the name of another without being authorized by the latter, or unless he has by law a right to represent him. Tingnan nyo rito in a contract, in the name of another, na walang authorization, without any authorization of the contracting party, they has no power to represent the contracting parties. Sino ba yung tinatawag na the name of another. Third person na naman ito. Pero sinasabi dito, a contract entered the name of the another was no authority or legal representation shall be unenforceable. Pag sabing unenforceable, hindi pwedeng pilitin to represent the contracting parties unless it is ratified o napagtibay, expressed or implied by the person on behalf, it should be executed bago mapawalang visa ang kontrata. Etong tanong, how does the name of another are not authorized to enter into a contract can be authorized? O paano mabibigyan ng pahintulot? Meron tayong tinatawag na special power of attorney na tinatawag, no? Yung special power of attorney na kung saan, in the absence of the contracting party, he give the permission, he give the power to represent by the third person. Yun. Kung meron special power of attorney, the third person can represent the contracting party. Or if there is such a negotiation or stipulation that it enter into the contract. Yun ang ibig na sabihin ng Article 217. Kung walang special power of attorney, if there's no authorized by the contracting party to represent the third person, hindi siya pwedeng, hindi siya valid. At mapapawalang visa ang kontrata. Kasi ang nangyari lang dito, hindi nga siya kasali doon parang saling pusa lang, di ba? Hindi naman pwedeng ganun yun. Unless kung may special power of attorney that the third party authorized by the contracting party, he can enter the contract. He can also sign the contract as a representative of the contracting party. Ang ibig sabihin tinatawag na Article 13, 17. Okay. Okay, it's already 11:23, no? Kasi sige, let's make it short. Example lang nun. Balikan natin ulit yung property, let's say bangko, tsaka yung buyer, na fully paid na nung buyer yung lupa. Ito maganda example nito. Ngayon, ang pumunta dun sa bangko para kumuha ng title, sabihin natin kapatid nung may-ari. Yung kapatid nung may-ari, pwede ba yung kunin yun? Bibigay ba ng bangko yung titulo ng lupa? Just in case? Hindi bibigay yun. No, it's not. Hindi, ang sasabihin sa kanya, kahit kapatid ka, you are not the owner of that lot or that title. Unless if you have special power of attorney to represent your kapatid, they will give you that. O, di ba? O sabihin natin, bumalik si kapatid. Kasi sabihin natin, yung may-ari may sakit. O, nagpakita ng special power of attorney, kumuha ng special power of attorney sa abogado, naka-notarize, naka-sealed pa. The bank will be, kung may special power of attorney na pinakita yung third person niya, kasi third person yung kapatid, the bank will give that title. Oh. Siyempre sa special power of attorney, meron pa mga valid ID siya nahihingin at may authorization letter pa yan doon sa contracting party which is yung buyer ng lupa. Diba? Oh, may SPA na, may authorization letter pa. So lahat ng yon, kukunin ng bangko yung SPA na yon, i-attach doon sa nakatunayan na receive na nung gagawa ng certification yung bangko, nakatunayan ang nag-receive ng titulong yon ay yung kapatid with special power of attorney, something ganon. Yun yun. Okay, so that's Article 1317. And last one, okay, Article 1380, sabi, there's no contract, there is no contract, no contracting party can enter into a contract unless the following requisites concern. Dapat daw ang isang kontrata, in order the contract must be entered or perfected, there should be a consent. May pahintulot. Part of the consent, the stipulations, the terms and conditions, and the clauses. There should be the object. Pag sabing object, this is the subject matter of the contract. Pag sabing object, ano ba yung object ng inyong pag-enter na agreement? Yung to give the obligation. Ari-arian ba yan? Bayad ba yan? Or what? Or any form. And the cost of obligation, which is established. Pag sabing cost of obligation, it talks about the result. Ano ba kinata ng kontrata? Naging good faith ba? Naging maganda bang naging usapan? Both of the contracting parties have give the obligation to each other. So that is Article 1318. So that will be in the contract, the general provisions. Okay, so question. Teka lang I just check the chat box. Teka lang Ay, puro tawa pala. Sorry pala. May questions. Sorry Question. Okay, when you question, kindly unmute. Question? O, wala kayong tanong?
Sir, pwede pong pabalik po yung yung PowerPoint sa simula, sir, hanggang sa kahit tatlong slide lang po. Nawala kasing signal na ko.
Okay, sige, sure. Wala. I'm just going to share
Thank you,
it.
sir.
Okay, alin dito?
Sir, yung po, nag-start po kasi ako nung una sa sa 1305, then
Okay.
nag-jump po ako sa 1308. 1308, di ko po alam kung ano. 13,
Okay.
tas
Okay,
nag-jump
1306.
po ako sa 1308.
Nag-jump
1306
ka.
po, sige po.
You want
Then,
me to explain
susunod
again?
po, sir.
Do you want me to explain it again? Sorry.
Sige, okay lang po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, sige, let's repeat. Okay, Article 1306, sabi nga, di ba, okay, the contracting parties may establish, take note sabi ko nga kanina, di ba, balik, parang sinabi lang sa 1318, there is no contract if there is no consent, there is no object and the cause, di ba, yun yung sa dulo. Pero sinasabi rito sa Article 1306,
Opo.
the contracting parties, di ba, sabi contracting parties, when the two or more person enter into such contract to give, to do obligation of both themselves, dapat, the contract must establish stipulations. Ano ba yung mga pagkakasunduan ninyong dalawa? Diba? Dapat may pagkakasunduan kayo. Hindi pwedeng wala mapagkasunduan. Clauses, the clauses, ito yung tinatawag na that supports your conditions. Diba? Pwedeng i-attach yung clause sa batas, yung mga civil laws or something. Di ba kung naman yung kontrata ninyo? Terms, it talks about a period of time or time frame. Hanggang kailan ba mag-take effect ang kontrata? And the conditions, ito yung mga rules or ano ba yung mga bagay na gusto at ayaw ng dalawang contracting party na kailangan pag when they enter the contract, both of the conditions must be accepted. Diba? Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. But make sure, take note but make sure that these things, the stipulation, the clauses, the terms and conditions, it should be convenient. Sabi na convenient, parehong komportable ang dalawang parties. At the same time, those stipulations, terms and conditions, even the clauses are not contrary. Pag sabing not contrary, hindi pwedeng lumabag sa batas. Diba?
Yes.
Batas. Hindi rin pwedeng makapag-degrade ng moral ng pagkatao ng isang tao. Hindi rin dapat mag-violate sa isang custom. Kung sa good custom, maaring religion o kaugalian, di ba? Public order, kasi yung public order, ano ba yung pinag-uutos sa publiko? It could be a general law or a civil law or public policy. Di ba? Ano maganda, sige, maganda example, bigyan kita ng maganda example dito sa Article 1306. Halimbawa, ako, di ba, ano bang klaseng contract to, sabihin na, sige, wag na ako. Mas magandang example dito, artista. Ito, artista na lang. Ulit, mas magandang example dito. Kasi alam mo, pag nakakaisip ako ng kontrata, ang nasa isip ko lagi artiste. Kasi maganda pag-usapan ko sa artista, mga kontrata, di ba? Di ba? Si artista ulit. Di ba? Si artista ulit. Tsaka si pelikula. Wag na TV network. Pelikula. Gagawa ng pelikula. Si producer, di ba? Kinuha si artista, di ba? Stipulation, syempre alam mo dapat hindi stipulation. Condition muna, condition. Ano ba yung condition? Si producer, kukunin kitang artista. Ang role mo ganito. Kailangan ang role mo extreme. Iiyak ka, dapat marunong kang umiyak. Medyo may konting daring, kailangan medyo sexy ka, ganyan. Yun yung mga conditions. Kukunin kita, yung katawan mo dapat good condition, magpa-sexy ka, ganyan, bago tutakbuhin. Yun ang mga conditions. Diba? Si artista naman, anong condition niya doon kay producer? Sige, tatanggapin ko to. Magpapa-sexy ako para sa pelikulang yan. Pero, dapat hindi ako mababastos. Diba? Hindi ako mababastos. Hindi ako, yung pag-handle sa akin ng mga assistant, tapos assistant, hindi mababastos ang katawan ko, hindi maano ang moral ko, yun ang ibig sabihin ng conditions. Di ba? Kapag yung dalawang conditions na yon, ay both of the parties ay itinanggap nila, magkakaroon ng stipulations. Yun yung tinatawag na napagkasunduan nila. Diba? Terms.
Yes.
Terms.
Yes po.
Kailan gagawin yung pelikula? 6 na buwan, mag-shooting para mabuo yung pelikula. Yun yung tinatawag na contracting parties. That is also part of the contract. Yung napagkasunduan, papasok na rin dito yung consent. Diba po sabing consent, yung dalawang partidong ito may pahintulot sa bawat isa that enter into the contract that make sure yung napagkasunduan nila ano yung sinabi ng artista, hindi ako mababastos dapat sige magpapasexy ako. Kasi sexy yung role ko, iiyak ako. Sabi mo magpapasexy ako, mag-gym ako, pero pag nag-shooting na magsuot ako ng two-piece, wala man lang magsisipol, wala mag-whistle blow sa akin, wala man lang mag-aano sa akin, pagkapatasyan ako or something. Not contrary to the morals. Diba? Sabihin natin sa batas, make sure yung pag sinut nyo to hindi makikita buong katawan ko. Not contrary to the law. Kasi mamaya, ginamit yung katawan niya for some malicious or ginawang obscene exploitation na yun sa batas. Di ba? Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Pwedeng pag nabastos yung pwedeng magkaso yung artista. Di ba? Ganon.
Yes po.
Okay, Article 1307 naman, ang sinasabi dito, innominate contracts. Pag sabing innominate contracts, yung kontrata, yung mga pangalan ng contracting party, hindi nag-a-appear, hindi naka-indicate sa isang written document. Sinasabi lang dito, ang innominate contract, valid din yan. Make sure that the innominate contracts are regulated. Sorry? Yes?
Ano po yung innominate contract, sir? Kasi ano po yung data ko.
Ang innominate contract, ito yung kontrata na kung saan yung mga pangalan ng contracting parties hindi naka-indicate sa contract nila. Hindi naka-indicate ang pangalan. Yun yung innominate. It can be valid for as long as the innominate contract are regulated by the stipulation, sabi nga, with the provision of Title 1 and 2 of the Book of Contract, diba? Or make sure that the innominate contract are analogous. Pag sabing analogous, kapareho nung nominate contract. Yung content yung laman ng innominate contract, kahit wala yung pangalan doon ng contracting party, kapareho nung laman ng nominate contract na kung saan ang nominate contract naka-indicate ang pangalan ng contracting party, pwedeng gamitin din ang innominate contract. Dapat it should be analogous, magkatulad, magkawamis. Pag magkaiba, yung innominate contract, hindi siya analogous o hindi kapareho ng nominate contract, hindi siya valid, hindi siya pwedeng gamitin. Nakuha? Yun yung ibig sabihin.
Thank you po. Okay na po. Thank you po.
Okay. Sige, thank you rin. Question pa? Sorry. Question. Okay, Ms. Montero, you raise your hand. Question. Go ahead. Ms. Montero?
Hi, sir.
Okay, sige, question.
Is a contract void if one party dies?
Okay. Pag isang kontrata ay namatay? Yung contracting party? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kapag ang isang contracting party namatay, actually ganito yan when it comes to, ito example. Kapag namatay isang contracting party, mai-invalid na yung kontrata. Ito maganda example niyan sa loan, contract of loan. Okay, ito yun contract of loan, Ms. Montero. Yung may utang, namatay yung may utang. Masisingil ba ng bangko yung namatay na may utang sa kanila? Hindi na. Mai-invalid yung contract na yun. Pero, kung naka-insured yung loan na yon, may insurance, mababayaran pa rin yung bangko. Yung insurance na yon ang magbabayad doon sa deceased contracting party. Pero yung kontrata na pagkasundo nila, may invalid na yun. Mapapawalang visa siya. Mare-revoke na, mapapawalang visa. Hindi naman kasi violation of the contract yun. Kasi yung pagkamatay naman ng isang contracting party is fortuitous event. Uncertain yun. Wala naman makapagsabi kung kailan siya mamamatay, di ba? Yun ang doon. It can be revoked. Okay, Ms. Montero?
Okay po, sir. Okay.
Okay, sige.
Thank you po.
Okay, BJ. Okay, you raise your hand, Mr. BJ Nombre. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, about dun sa Article 1312,
Okay.
sa mortgage law and the land
Yes.
registration laws.
Okay.
Sir, sa mga rural areas ba, kailangan din ng mga registration law yun?
Oo naman.
Paano po malalaman kung nakarehistro yung isang lupa?
Okay. Sige, that's a good question, no? Okay. Again, magandang question yan. Una muna, sabi, dapat sa rural areas, dapat nakaregister ang lupa. Dapat. Kasi kapag isang lupa, actually dapat naman talaga, nasa batas yan, lahat ng lupa dapat nakaregister niya sa land registration. Kahit bukirin pa yan, kahit sakahan pa yan, dapat nakaregister sa land registration. Kasi ang land registration kasi, na kung saan lahat ng lupa may mga titulo yan, may mga titulo na kung saan, may mga lupa kasi na kung saan alam natin kung sino bang nagmamay-ari nito. Gobyerno ba o pribadong sektor? Yung tinatawag na land registration laws. At pangalawa, yung mga lupang nasa rural areas, hindi naman lahat yon ay pwedeng gamitin for the development of infrastructures and subdivision. Kasi may mga zone na meron tayong tinatawag na economic zone or economic zones na kung saan delikado. Halimbawa, Bulkan Taal. For example lang pwede ka ba magtayo ng isang resort sa Bulkan Taal? Siyempre, hindi pwede yon. Alam mo namang hazard area ang Bulkan Taal, di ba? So, kumbaga, yung mga lupang nakapalibot sa Bulkan Taal, bagamat may mga nakatira doon, di ba, pinalilikas na nga sila kasi hazard yun eh. Hindi pwede. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Yun yung una muna. Kaya lahat ng lupa, yung mga rural areas, rin sa land registration yun. Kasi hindi man porket naka-register sa land registration yun, pwede na siyang ibenta, pwede siyang gamitin for commercial use or anything. It will be appraised by a government body o kung sino man, itong lupang ito ay pwedeng gamitin pang commercial or residential or pang environmental lang for the conservation of the habitats. Yun. Ano ulit yung isang pangalawang tanong? Yung sa registration?
Sir, paano po malalaman kung nakarehistro sa title po ba yun?
Pag nakarehistro yun, ang maganda dito, pupunta talaga tayo sa land registration. Sa local governments, pwede tayong pumunta. Di ba sa government, meron tayong mga tinatawag na registry of deeds. Di ba? Pag registry of deeds, yung mga kung saan nakaregister doon yung mga lupa, mga ari-arian ng mga lupa, movable property, at sino ang nagmamay-ari. Kung gobyerno ba o isang individual o isang pribadong sektor. Doon siya. Doon mo malalaman yun.
By showing title?
Showing title. Oo, kung may hawak ang titulo, pwede mo ipakita yun sa Registry of Deeds para makita mo kung legit yun. Kasi yung titulo na hawak mo, may kopya din yan ang Registry of Deeds. Diba? Yung mga Teka lang, nasa doon dila ko yung mga assessors rather. Yun. May mga hawak din yan. Halimbawa, let's say, sabihin natin, Metro Manila, Quezon City. Buong Quezon City, may registry of deeds siya. Doon sa opisina ng local government yan, nakalagay lahat ng barangay, yung lupang sukat, at sinong may-ari. Kung may hawak ang titulo, ipakita mo doon kung ito ba talaga ay legit. Legit. Pag yung hawak ang titulo mo ay doon ginakapal pa nila, legit yun. Legal yung paper mo. Kasi di ba ang titulo, pwedeng mapeki yun. Yun. Kung gusto mong mapatunayan yung legit siya, you can go with the registry of deeds in the local government.